Monthly podcast, a show about the X-Men, the comics, the movies, the TV shows, but mostly the comics. I am your host, Midget Radio. I want to wish you all a special Merry Xmas or Happy Holidays. First, though, man, sad news, sad freaking news. Gen X and Iceman are ending. Two of my just favorite titles of this era. Miss Strain, Mr. Grace, you turned in some stellar goddamn work on these titles, and son of a bitch, you will be missed. I don't know what to say. Before I just break down and threaten to take all of Marvel Comics with me, let's see if we can first talk about these here X books in the month of November 2017. So we're gonna start off with X-Men Gold and Blue, the conclusion to the Mojo Worldwide storyline. We pick up with the main crew on Mojo World, just immediately located by Mojo himself, who sends Spiral, nice to see Spiral, and a whole army of Mojo minis after them. Is that what they are? Mini Mojos? Is that what you call them? Or are those just like... Is that like those are the citizens of Mojo World? Does everybody on Mojo World look like Mojo? I don't actually really know. I'm not sure how much Mojo World has really been developed over the past like 3 decades or whatever. But so, I mean, he's got Spiral and Major Domo and then like all these mini me's, I guess. So yeah, I mean, I guess they do say like all the citizens of Mojo World are apparently spineless, so I don't know, maybe they do all look alike. Whatever. So the B story is Mags, Danger, and Polaris fighting their way through various X-related holodeck scenarios and actually busting down the walls of one, which for whatever comic book reason opens a portal into Mojo World. So, I mean, everybody's about to get a piece of Mojo World. It's probably dumb, but what I kind of like about this crossover is just how many freaking X-Men there are in it. It's the Gold and Blue crews. It's like 14 X peoples plus Longshot, and then Mags, Polaris, and Danger. It's a freaking army. I mean, you could easily take over Mojo World with that kind of firepower, right? I mean, you could do that in a day, I would think. But so anyway, I mean, they pretty much all beeline to Mojo's HQ. Invite themselves in via ad hoc doorway they were nice enough to make for him, and find Mojo with his own posse for Ultimate Smackdown, which begins in the issue of X-Men Blue, which picks up with the big fight at HQ. Mags, Polaris, and Danger show up to help out. The crew like split up here with Longshot, Jean, Colossus, and Jimmy off to find like, I guess, the main broadcast booth. And I gotta say the long shot luck power thing, I mean, it never gets old to me. Longshot takes the lead and just sprints off in a random direction, explaining to Jean that he's just kind of making this up as he goes, because usually things just work out for a long shot. You pick a direction you go, it's probably gonna take you where you need to be. I love that about his character. It's just like, it's optimism. Like, that's his power. Like, it's just straight up optimism, practically, which I guess is really easy to have when you've got luck on your side. But so I think it ends, the issue ends, and this storyline kind of ends, I feel like, the same way Batman Forever did, right? Jim Carrey with the green TV signal, whatever, it was like taking over the world. And I think he like draws power from it or whatever, like Mojo is from the people watching this broadcast. I don't know. So the X crew cut off the power supply via some like badass power display from Mags and Polaris in particular. sending old Green Nips packing, or he fades away, actually, I guess. He fades away, as does Mojo World. I don't know. I guess they just fade away, or maybe that's like them transporting back to, like, the planet doesn't fade away. Really, they're fading away. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But like, so we get that they fade away. We got the wrap up, the denouement of this storyline. Fight's over, and now we get the scene where Kitty confronts Mags, and I still don't really understand this. I mean, I don't know, like, if I'm alone in this, or do you guys get the impression that Kitty is a little high strung? I'm not totally sure why she's being written this way. Maybe it's because she's the leader, like all that pressure. But so she flips out because Mags is alive and working with the blue team, and he's dangerous and all. And Colossus, like, has to step in on this scene and explain what I feel like should be fairly obvious to Kitty, that, like, yeah, this dude is bad news a lot of times, but, like, also he's the guy who brought you back to Earth after you were trapped in that bullet. X-Men comics. So, I mean, he's not mustache twirling evil bad guys, and it's like not remotely surprising that Mags is working with the X-Men. Like, he's never done that before. I mean, I'm gonna chalk it up, I think, to Kitty just maybe still getting comfortable in the role of a leader. Like, it makes sense for her to be kind of overprotective and on edge, particularly after Inhumans versus X-Men and Xavier's death, etc. I mean, now she's got, like, the full weight of the X-Men on her shoulders. I don't know. So maybe it's just, I don't know. I guess it's just her dealing with all of that. The overprotective angle kind of makes sense to me anyway. But so somehow Mojo survives. He ends up in a sewer. I don't know. He ends up in a sewer. And we are apprised now that his whole attack on Manhattan did provide the Mojo crew with the means and ability to set up the Mojo News Network here on Earth to compete alongside all of our other fine 24-hour news agencies. Kind of dig that. Kind of totally dig it. Won't lie, I dig it for sure. And now we move into X-Men Gold number 16. The Negative Zone War. Brand new arc, and if I'm not mistaken, the arc that Guggenheim pitched to Marvel when he was looking to take on this book. So, let me preface this a bit, because I feel like I'm probably going to end up sounding like an old trollish bitch moaner here, and I don't mean to. Overall, I'm enjoying Guggenheim's run on this title, and I dug the arcs he wrote on X titles before. But I gotta say, like, this issue feels like, I don't know. It's like the fucking Voltron of, like, all the weaker elements of this run so far. So we start with Kitty and Lydia Nance on Cross Time, which is like an analog to all the godforsaken debate shows where you've got, just two like politically entrenched fucking animals just braying at each other. I feel like so the network can just sort of help sell you on fucking boner medication and gold. I guess if you're watching Fox News, they sell you a lot of goddamn gold in between all of the shouting. So we get this, like, fairly sanctimonious speech from Kitty, basically asking Nance, like, what is so broken about her that she's such a bigot. And this, like, for me, this stuff, it just totally falls flat. And I think the reason for that is that, I mean, Lydia Nance in this run, 16 issues into this run, she's just a racist. Like, that's her entire character. She's just completely two-dimensional. Like the comic book embodiment of the like rhetorical straw man. And no argument with a fucking straw man has ever been compelling. And the second part of this is this Mutant Deportation Act. This hasn't made any damn sense to me since issue 1, and it doesn't help that nobody up through this run so far seems to actually be getting deported. Like, there's been none of that, despite apparently this bill somehow fucking passing in Congress. I don't see ICE raiding the mansion. And the reason they probably don't is because how the fuck do you legally deport an American citizen just for being a mutant? I mean, none of this ancillary stuff is addressed. We know that this act has been passed, but we haven't seen any kind of enforcement or anything like that. And the embodiment of this sort of bigotry that the X-Men are facing is so two-dimensional. There's just nothing to latch on to there. So I don't know if I'm being an ass, but like if I'm being too harsh. But so we get this. It's like 2 pages, I think, between Kitty and Lydia. And it's really not much. I mean, Lydia says something stupid, and Kitty is like, "Well, that's a stupid thing to say." there's just not much of an argument there. And so then we get treated to a scene with Colossus, who's just like fawning over Kitty for being really heroic to stand up to this two-dimensional bigot and call her a bigot because she supports a completely irrational and I imagine totally goddamn illegal bill that literally I don't understand how it would ever get passed. It is like so anti-constitutional. It doesn't at all tackle the citizenship angle. It's just not smart. Like, it's just not smart. It's too damn easy. Like, it's just too easy. This entire setup. Whatever. I'm a prick. But part 2 of why Midget Radio is a prick. So a bunch of humans show up with picket signs at the mansion expressing their support for mutants and protesting this mutant deportation thing. And it's kind of a nice moment. I mean, especially, I think it was nice, particularly because Guggenheim has Logan, of all fucking people, be the first to like actually see all of this outpouring of support from the human community, I guess, which is cool. But so like after that, an alien ship shows up in the sky above the mansion, and fantastic. It's Kologoth's people. Kologoth, that freaking alien, that green, like demon looking dude that nobody knew what he was in the first issue of this run. He was like part of the new Brotherhood. He was under mind control or something. So they show up, his people show up in Earth's atmosphere, and like for some reason Alpha Flight pilots then show up out of nowhere, and I mean from the way it looks, they just straight up open fire on the ship. Like what? Like what the hell, right? I mean, how is that a first? Like when is this when was this the first response? They just open fire. So like predictably, Kologoth's people shoot back, and I don't know if they're bad shots or if they like just keep missing, or if they're trying to like hit the grounds all around the mansion on purpose or what. But so they managed to pick up Kologoth, who is naked. It's a weird image, like he's naked and his people are wearing clothes, like the end of Frisky Dingo. You know, you see Frisky Dingo, like Killface's mom shows up, right? Like why are you naked? That's a fucking great show. Anyway, so the Gold Crew attack the ship. Kitty phases inside to figure out what's going on. They manage to shake off the rest of the X-Men, and they port out with Kitty still inside, and that's where we end the issue. And I like the ending. I like the ending. Now they got to go get Kitty. But I mean, but overall, and I don't know where this like negative zone stuff is. Like we haven't seen it. I don't know if Kologoth's from there, or like, is a nihilist gonna get wrapped up in this somehow? Nazi alien? I mean, that's what he is, a Nazi alien. It is not subtle. The red armband and everything. Straight up Nazi alien. We have this Nazi alien nudist, a two-dimensional bigot in the figure of Lydia Nance. And I think what's frustrating about this, maybe this is what I'm reacting to, is that like the conflict basically is Kitty is right, and Lydia Nance is wrong. And that's as complicated as it is. And I think like, because we don't know anything about Lydia, because she is so underdeveloped, and because she is so unrealistically two-dimensional, like it makes Kitty seem that way too, which is just a completely unjust representation of her character to engage in these two-dimensional debates with a straight up bigot. I mean, nothing other than a bit. Like, we don't know where that's coming from. Lydia Nance has yet to make a reasonable point behind the Mutant Deportation Act, which I don't even know how you would do that, since that act itself is so completely goddamn insane. I just it feels too easy to me. I don't know. I wish it was. I think really it's Lydia Nance. Guggenheim needs to like develop her into a person, like the same way that Stryker, as Pac writes him in Weapon X, feels like a person. Like that dude is crazy, but it's clear that he is on like a religious mission. He's just got it in his head that ending the fucking mutant race is a spiritual calling, and he's bizarrely been able to like differentiate himself from the kind of monster that Dr. Alba is, that Dr. Alba will just use people at her will and experiment on them as she pleases. And Stryker's got to like step in on that and say, no, we're not monsters here. We're here to stop the monsters, meaning mutants. I mean, that's an interesting angle for that character, and it's one of the things that makes him feel a little bit more fleshed out. Lydia Nance doesn't have anything approaching that kind of complexity, and I think that's what makes a lot of these scenes kind of just fall flat at the end of the day for me. So whatever, as much bitching as I'm doing about this issue, I mean, again, I still really enjoy Guggenheim's run overall. I'm just hoping that we get maybe a little bit more from Lydia Nance. Instead of, I want her to be like a formidable foe. I don't want her to be a straw man, that you can just push over with a gust of wind. I want her to be, someone like a William Stryker, somebody who's going to keep coming and keep going after the X-Men to fulfill their mission. So I don't know. That's where I am. Moving on. X-Men Blue 16. Holy butts, I like this better. So we've got the Blue crew hanging out at Madripoor HQ. I always like issues that begin like this with like the characters just hanging out. So Bobby's watching TV, the Mojo News Network, by the way, and like in serious conflict, wondering if he's just like rotting his brain or researching the enemy, like I'm sure many of us feel like when we are watching television, particularly 24-hour news type television. So Mags gets a headache all of a sudden, and we find out he's actually been communicating with Xavier this whole time, which is a surprise. And like, this is while I guess Xavier's been fighting the Shadow King in the astral plane. So I don't know why, but Mags suddenly gets a hair up his ass and tells the Blue team that they have to return to their time like right now, like right the hell now. And they're like, hey man, we were just there and like we saw us, like current us, time travel, I don't know, but like they already saw themselves there in the past, like they never left. Does that make sense? No? Then I guess it must be an X-Men comic. So they find his freaking time platform courtesy of Danger, fuel up what I guess is the flux capacitor, and hit the go button and run face first into the X-Men of 2099. Yeah. Skullfire and Bloodhawk and them other ones. I like it. I like the X-Men 2099, but I remember getting a little annoyed because it seemed like they broke up really quick. But this is fun. I hope they spend some time in 2099 because I kind of liked that whole series of comics. So like definitely looking forward to what happens next. Very much on board for this arc. Okay, Astonishing X-Men number 5. What the hell? I don't even know anymore. I did not see it in She-Hulk. I didn't see it in Inhuman, and I was mostly mad at him during Inhumans versus X-Men, but Charles Soule is just killing it on this book. Like, this is some damn good comics. I don't even know how to begin. So Xavier is explaining to Rogue that he couldn't save Gambit. So Gambit is running amok, a mall for Ruck. Nice. Topside with Psylocke trying to, I guess, keep him in line. Xavier explains to Rogue that while like he's having this conversation with her, he's also dealing with the Shadow King's gloating since he's just taken over Gambit. He's maintaining secondary realities for them so that the Shadow King doesn't know that he's there having a conversation with with Rogue and Phantom X and Mystique. And he's like fighting Logan psychically and maintaining this alternate conversation with Phantom X and shit. I guess also talking to Mags over in X-Men Blue now. And the way this thing is laid out is that like the top half of most of the pages of this book are Xavier explaining to Rogue, Mystique, and Phantom X I guess really the war between himself and the Shadow King that's going on, and then the bottom half of the pages is him having this like side conversation. I don't know, this side sort of like planning or strategizing with Phantom X, and it reads just brilliantly. So topside, Farouk possessed, Gambit and Logan are like infecting rando citizens with Shadow King whatever just by touching them, like creating this whole army of Shadow King puppets. And Psylocke convinces Warren to just like let go, man, go full on Archangel to stop Gambit and Logan from spreading this kind of like psychic virus, I guess. And he, which he does. He lets go, Warren places all of his faith in Psylocke, that she'll like be able to bring his ass back from being from being Archangel. Just fucking stellar. Like this is, god damn it, this is a great run. I mean, no shit. When I talked about legendary runs on X titles, which you would, I mean, so you'd go to like the Dark Angel saga, Whedon's Astonishing X-Men, Morrison, Dark Phoenix, DOFP, etc. I mean, no shit, I think Sewell's run is a contender. I mean, 5 issues in, maybe I'm talking too soon, but so far, this is shaping up to be a run to be counted among the great runs of X-Men comics. It's exciting. It's super engaging stuff. And I'm really looking forward to returning to it and reading these issues back to back. Maybe oversized hardcover, maybe an Omni, we'll see. But Charles Soule, I mean, just kicking ass all over this title. On to Weapon X number 11, The Hunt for Weapon H conclusion. So we pick up with Laura, full on gutted by Weapon H, still trying to convince him that he doesn't have to be an animal. Much battle ensues, and in their efforts to stop Weapon H, Sabretooth comes up with the rather inventive solution of strapping old William Stryker to a nuclear reactor that I suppose they just had laying around. I don't remember where they picked this damn thing up. And I guess stuffing the whole thing down Weapon H's throat. That's the gist of the plan, I believe. You gotta love Sabretooth's approach to problem solving. So Dr. Alba points out that there are over 500,000 people living in the city, and she asks H to kill them all because she is a scientist, because she is a goddamn scientist. Domino's hanging out by a construction site and gets Weapon H's attention by pointing out that there are a whole bunch of killable people over here, which there are. And I love her exchange with one of those people when he says, what the hell, lady? I thought you were a superhero. And Nina responds, good old Nina responds, haha, seriously? Just fucking fantastic. Who doesn't love Domino? So we find out Alba has been controlling Weapon H via post-hypnotic suggestion and like some sort of make Hulks do what you want serum that she injects into him via tongue needle. Kinky. So they shoot Hulk full of this antidote or something. It's a fairly abrupt ending. And so he calms down and bails. And then like Logan tracks him down later and finds him, Clay, now, sort of searching out his past, like Logan has been doing basically all his damn life. And instead of Clay trying to figure out like who his wife and kids were, he just burns up all the data to protect them, which is kind of a nice twist. Like, as long as he doesn't know who they are, then they can't go after him. It's, I mean, not bad. Stryker, ever the true believer, once again restored to his appendages, if not the flesh that used to cover them, has drummed himself up a new congregation. I guess faith really does heal. All in all, a really fun storyline. This Weapon H thing, God, son of a bitch, has been going on since practically the beginning of this run, with a crossover in between, and every damn bit of it has been a great ride. a fucking Hulk Wolverine hybrid has created with with Pack at the helm has created 11 issues, more than 11 issues of totally goddamn solid and entertaining comics. Absolutely fantastic book. I love the cover for the next issue, and really looking forward to it. Generation X 8 and 9. I love this damn book. We've got iBoy and Nature Girl hanging out, watching Jube's baby at the zoo, and like hanging out in the bear pen, because I guess like if you could hang out with bears, then why wouldn't you hang out with bears, right? And Paige, the counselor for the school now, which I love, is in a session with Bling, who's kind of tackling her desire to like want to be an X-Man, but not, living up to the image of a superhero she wants to be. M Plate, Monet Plate. I'm very sad about Monet, but she's eating up mutants. I miss Monet. Stupid M Plate. But so the main thrust of this issue is Krakoa burrows his ass through all of New York just to see Quentin, just to see Quire, and causes a shitload of destruction in the process. What a great plot. That's the whole thing. And who wouldn't burrow through Manhattan just to see Quentin Quire? I mean, I wouldn't, and probably no one, probably just Krakoa. But so Kitty's pissed because Quire's an ass, and ditched Krakoa, which is why he fucking tore up, I guess, a lot of Manhattan to come see him. So she's dispatching people to all points in Manhattan to do rescue and clean up. Jubes, Jono, and Bling are at the Museum of Natural History when it suddenly loses its floor. And Jubes and Bling get stuck under the rubble. And so we pick up with issue 9, where cleanup is going well, but Quire is being predictably Quire about it, accepting, zero responsibility, totally cavalier and a bit reckless in the cleanup process, and getting a little bit butthurt anytime anyone criticizes him for it. I do love, God, this book is so good. I love the weird tension between him, Ben, and Nathaniel. There's something about Benji that Quire is attracted to, and Nathaniel pretty much calls it out in this issue. And it's difficult to tell how Quire thinks of Benji, whether he thinks of him as a brother or a close friend or a companion, or is there some sort of romantic attraction there? It's really hard to define. I doubt Quire himself would even know, but you can tell that he's jealous that Ben has these feelings for Nathaniel, and those two are growing closer. And it totally works. Quire is such a prick, but he's a sympathetic prick. And seeing him vulnerable like this just makes him feel really human. It's nice to see the cynical Quire fall prey to those things us lowly humans fall prey to, like jealousy. And so anyway, we get to see Husk out in the process of moving rubble to save Jubes and Bling, which is cool. And they discover M's feeding grounds there below the city. Benji and Nathaniel finally have a heart-to-heart on the will they or won't they thing, and I like the reveal here that Nathaniel's power, because it's so intimate, he touches you and kind of instantly knows everything about you, has trashed every relationship he's ever been in because he automatically knows more about you, than you would know about him, and that dynamic just kind of blows the relationship apart. I totally dig it. It makes perfect sense, and this kind of shit is what I love about the X-Men, the sort of character defining problems that having powers like these impose upon an individual, how these powers shape your perspective and your approach and your interaction with the world and the people around you. It's great goddamn stuff, and I love that Strain dives into it. I'm gonna be really goddamn sad to see her go. Continuing on the fucking sad train, Iceman 7. I like how this starts out. It's just this one page. Bobby's parents have discovered that Teen Bobby is also in the present day. Saying his mom basically holding up a picture of Teen Bobby to Bobby's dad, saying, "William, there's two of our son." And then we just totally immediately ditch that scene for for old school champions fighting Sentinel movie props. I guess that's what they are, Sentinel movie props. It's a weird story with this girl who like made giant Sentinels to get into prop design. Points for creativity. But so like we get Bobby an LA boyfriend, and I don't remember this dude's name. Judah? I think it might be Judah, but just two like absurdly handsome gay dudes hanging out, being absurdly handsome. And I like the scene. I like the scene with the champions all eating breakfast, like post date after Bobby's date with boyfriend. We get a little of Bobby being embarrassed by a prior attempt to hit on Black Widow when they first met, which I totally dug. I like that Grace is exploring this stuff. It's just kind of interesting to see like Bobby now reflect on Bobby then. So Bobby returns to New York. He gets back to the school and then like abruptly decides he's going to move to LA. I don't know about this, man. Like, I guess move back there because of this boyfriend. I don't know. We'll see. It's putting a lot of eggs in this relationship basket. Just saying, to up and bail on the school. This dude better be worth it. He better be like he better be interesting. This relationship better be interesting. Looking at you, Grace. I don't know how many more issues there are of Iceman left. God damn it. It's really fucking sad. Even if it's boring, I still want to see it. Oh well. Moving on. Jean Grey number 9. This issue is pretty damn exciting. We start off with Teen Jean basically on fire. It's fantastic. We've got Emma and Ghost Jean escorting her to the hospital via ambulance, and the poor like EMT in the ambulance is trying to keep Jean from blowing up the fucking oxygen tank. So they get her to the ER, and the doc's there like, damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a firefighter. Emma trips the sprinkler system because Emma is the greatest. And that kind of puts out some of the fire and calms Jean down for a bit. They steal a helicopter, like a life flight helicopter, because again, Emma is the greatest. And they meet up with the Cuckoos and Choir also, just outside the grounds of the mansion, because Emma ain't too welcome there, which is just terrible. It's just terrible. But Hope shows up too, as she has been tracking the Phoenix Force, which, holy shit, is now hovering in the sky over their heads as the issue ends. This was like a really entertaining ride. It was just kind of not that much happened. I guess they just, they pick up Jean's ass, take her to the hospital, take her to the mansion. It doesn't sound like much, but it feels like kind of a roller coaster reading this issue. And I think it's because Jean is freaking out and on fucking fire the whole time. But I really like this exchange between Emma and Ghost Jean. Jean's basically like accusing Emma of hiding that Phoenix shard, I guess we can call it, inside the memory of when Emma and Scott first kind of psychically hooked up way back in the Morrison days. And Jean thinks she put it there because it's like such a fucking ugly memory to her, and it's one she'd never want to look at. And Emma shoots back that Jean's nightmare, this ugly memory for her, is the beginning of Emma's love story. I mean, Emma Frost, man, she's such a goddamn great character. I'm so happy to see Hopeless here. Give her her proper due. Fucking bravo. Old Man Logan 30 and 31. Days of Anger Part 6. Part 6 of this story. I do not want to beat a dead horse. This arc was not for me. I just did not dig it at all, and I'm very happy to see it finally end. So basically, Malachi, Baby Hulk, threatens to detonate the nuke. Hawkeye stops him, kind of. There's still a pretty big goddamn blast. Big bloody battle between Logan and Maestro. They both actually get away, which is not a great sign for the future. Cambria takes the remaining Hulk babies and I guess goes off to start a new life or something. Logan and Hawkeye walk down the street and the issue's over. I'm sorry, Mr. Brisson. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Didn't dig this run at all. Great art by Deodato though. I mean, super brutal stuff between Logan and Maestro. But all right, Old Man Logan 31, already way better. I think it's because we've got a new story that so far has jack to do with the wastelands. Logan's hanging out in Japan, runs into some 2-bit Yakuza rapscallions who can like regrow appendages, which allows Logan to be pretty chop happy in his approach. So we've got Shingen, who's the Silver Samurai and heading up the Yashida Corporation, which I guess has developed this serum that like regrows appendages, and like one of their employees has been selling it on the street to get out of some debt. So Shingen is attacked in the corporate office by Gorgon and the Hand, and he's all cocky about it, like dismantling ninja zombies by the dozens, until suddenly he is stabbed in the back by the Scarlet Samurai, who is now, I guess, taking over the whole operation. I'm totally into this. I want to know who the Scarlet Samurai is. I kind of sort of halfway expect it to be Mariko, which I hope I'm wrong about. Really do kind of hope I'm wrong about that. We'll see. But Scarlet Samurai, I mean, why not? Why not? I'm into it. Really looking forward to the next issue on this one. All new Wolverine number 27, Orphans of X Part 3. I love this. Tom Taylor is killing it. And so is Daken. Pun. Okay, so Daken and Laura return to her aunt's house where Gabby is. Daken's pretty much in the dark, so Laura brings him up to speed on like, hey, this is my family, and plus PS, this is my freaking mom who was dead. And that sends, and Daken's kind of filling her in on this whole like, what the shit, you're being monitored. And so Daken's filling her in on all this shit, like you're being monitored. And so when Laura explains to him that her dead mom has now suddenly shown up, Daken's bullshit meter goes off and he just straight up executes her. He just blows away Laura's mom right there in the living room. The resurrected Sarah Kinney. It was nice knowing you. And so Laura reacts. I mean, what the shit? Like exactly how you would expect her to react to something like that. And she and Gabby just tear Daken's ass apart. And Daken, while trying to, I guess, keep enough body parts together to like form words and, you know, now try to explain his decision, claims that wasn't Sarah and proves as much as Sarah's dying. Her eyes like go green and we see that she's being controlled by the Orphans of X via some like almost Cerebro like setup, and that they've been monitoring Laura in an attempt to gain intel on this Muramasa blade. And they discover that Laura's asked Captain Marvel to go to where that thing is buried, blast it into dust. And so one of the orphans gets into like some sort of like metal Iron Maiden suit, I don't know, and dive bombs Carol Danvers as she's about to blast this sword to bits. So the O of X recover the blade at the voluntary expense of one of their own. It's great stuff. I like the O of X. It's a great idea, and it makes a lot of sense given how much like carnage the whole Wolverine family is kind of responsible for. I still don't really know anything about the Muramasa blade. I'm still not up on my Wolverine like mythos, but I'm really digging this story, really enjoying this story, and continue to be excited to see where it goes next. So Cable number 151, kind of a lot going on in this issue. Cable and company are still trying to figure out who's killing externals, and Selene makes it pretty damn clear she ain't looking for any of his help. So they bail and look into the external look into the externals who haven't joined up with Selene, namely Saul and Burke. So we get a little bit of a recruitment montage. Cable gets Armor to join in to go see Burke, while Shatterstar gets X-23, and it's like pre-Bendis X-23, where her personality is mostly just like quiet fucking terror. I love it. So Burke knows who's killing the externals and basically distracts Cable's team long enough for Shatterstar's crew to get beat on by Selene's goons. Burke actually wants to die, it seems. So when Cable discovers this, he bails to go after Star, and whoever this mystery killer is steps in and does old Burke in. And we end with a scene between Longshot, who is with Star and all, confronting Selene, who has now brought Blink into the picture for some like unknown purpose. Like I said, I mean, a lot going on in this issue. Seems like there are a number of threads to follow, and I'm not all the way up on my Externals lore, but I'm digging the mystery so far, and you can't go wrong with this cast of characters. This book has really turned around in Bresson's hands, and I'm super into it. Really looking forward to the rest of this run. Man, there are a lot of X comics. All right, y'all, that'll do it. I do not look forward to saying farewell to Iceman and Gen X. I said before, I mean, two of the strongest books of this franchise, but I guess the sales, weren't showing that. It's a total fucking shame. I mean, I wonder if to some degree it's because we have so freaking many X-Men titles right now, it's hard to keep up. And books like that just kind of fall to the wayside. And I mean, shit, this hobby ain't all that cheap. So let's just hope Strain and Grace find their way back to an X title. Those two are totally solid writers, and I want them on the X team. Not a stupid Avengers title. The Avengers can eat several butts. See you all next month, and Merry frackin' Xmas.